Hello, good morning. Welcome to another Stamp and Chat. The weeks are flying by. It doesn't seem like 2 minutes ago that I was here stamping with you. I'm just going to check that I'm live in the right place and see who is hopping on to join us this morning. So today is Tuesday the 24th, and having your sound not turned off on your Mac is not a great thing to do. Yeah, before you go live, all the things you have to remember to switch off. I've got to turn off my sound. Good morning, Lucianne. How are you? Seems like there's a lot of light coming in this morning. We had a bit of a rainy night, and it's been a bit damp this morning. I don't think we've had rain since first thing, and I've been awake early as usual. More eye rolling on that situation. Didn't have a very good night, but I can see a little bit of blue sky, which is very promising. So yeah, feeling really tired today. Just not sleeping too well. Last night it was my leg. It wasn't like waking up feeling hot, or it was my leg. As soon as I got into bed, my leg was giving me grief. So that dodgy muscle, and I think it's because at the weekend I did do quite a bit of gardening, and I was weeding. I'm probably using my leg muscle in different ways, so it's just giving me a bit of grief last night. So a couple of you on here. So I am okay, Lucianne. I'm just tired, which is just general at the moment, and just got to keep going through it. How are you doing? I'm sure you find it tired working with 2 children as well. I'm sure you get tired and find it all a bit tiring. Are you off to work today? I know you're usually heading out. So right, this morning I'm going to be creating with a brand new stamp set to me. As usually what happens, the first time I've used it was to create the projects for today. So I hope you enjoy what I'm doing. My colour palette I will show you in a moment. And I'm using the Botanical layers and then the Sending Smiles, which I've been focusing on I think the last couple of lives. Did I use it last week, or was it the cup of tea, which is my favourite? But loving the Sending Smiles, and I know you guys are too. So right, without further ado, there's a few of you on. Oh, that's the window cleaner going. So I've left Alfie in the house because the window cleaner turned up just before 9, and because the gates automatically open when he gets to them. I'm just a bit concerned with Alfie wandering about when I can't keep an eye on him. So yeah, so he's over in the house. I did say to Soph to let him out when he's gone. So he might come wandering over. You'll hear him tapping around up here if he does. So, and I've still got his breakfast over here. He didn't eat that yet. So yeah, so without further ado, let's set you down on the desk. We can have a look at the stamp sets I'm using. I did pop a picture up on here earlier of the 2 stamp sets. Let's make a bit of room, make sure everything is plugged in, turned on. Excuse the palm of the hand. Let's get moved over this way a bit today. See if we can, oh, that was a rather big zoom in. Yeah, so the tiredness is just like a general thing. Same but at work. Started at 7 a.m. You started work at 7 a.m. Is that what you mean, Lucianne? Right, I may be a little bit close. See if I can zoom out. That's probably too far now. Just going to check the window cleaner has gone. Yep, he's all gone and out of the gate. So we use a local window cleaner, lovely guy. Does a real good job because we've got lots of windows here. Right, let's get this grid paper down. It's a bit far away from it. I always end up with my grid paper like a foot away. Makes it really hard for crafting. It's difficult with the zoom because I'm going to leave it there. Because it's on my phone, it looks like it's a million miles away. But when I zoom in, oh my giddy aunt, that is way too much. Right, I'm leaving it there. I am not faffing with it anymore. Good morning, Margaret. How are you doing? Thank you for stopping by. Right, leaving the grid paper there. Let's just let it catch up. And you can see what I'm using today. I'm using the lovely Botanical layers and the Sending Smiles. Got a bit of reflection going on. Let's get this grid tape down. And then I cannot faff anymore. I may well zoom in a little smidge when I start stamping, but we'll see how it goes. So 2 new annual catalogue stamp sets. The Sending Smiles, as you will have seen if you've watched on here before, comes with a coordinating set of dies, which is so beautiful. Love this. I've got a class coming up next month. I think it's the 11th, in the studio, but I've also got kits in the post for that one. I'll give you a little flash. So we've got five cards there. Lovely colour combo. So you can find that on my events website. We're actually using that bundle for my 6 card class this month. I'll give you a little peek of that. I love these cards. All this production that has been happening in the studio. I've been a busy bee. Lucianne, you've got the Sending Smiles bundle in your basket. Yeah, it's beautiful. So this is a little peek at my 6 card class for this month. So you can get kits in the post for that as well. And I'm also offering a masculine class for the 6 cards for anybody who wants anything for Father's Day. And that's 6 cards, but you will create 2 of each design. Okay, colour combo of the day. Mossy Meadow, soft sea foam and fresh freesia. So fresh freesia is an old last year's in colours, which I absolutely adore. Really lovely colour. I'm also pulling in a little bit of So Saffron for some flower centres. So let us check if we've got everything we need. If you're just joining, please do say hello. It's always lovely to know who is here. I really just want to zoom in a teeny weeny. Let's see if it will let me. Let's see. Right, let's get some tools out ready and pull in the first kits. I think we can put these out of the way. I'm pretty sure I've got everything out that I need. I've got 2 cards for you today. Let's show you in the catalogue what we are working with. So Botanical layers, absolutely adore greenery. You know how much I love the foliage. I'm looking out now and it looks beautiful over there on the hills. There's a few clouds rolling around up there, but blue sky, so a bit promising. It's looking good. This is on a bundle, but not with any dies, not with a punch, but with a pack of vellum. And now I think I did show you this before. I'm going to move that out of the way, otherwise it's going to be really distracting. And it's called the Lovely Layers Vellum. You get 60 sheets in here, and they are 3 3/4 by 5 inches. They are beautiful. Let's put this down so you can see. So you've got printed designs which coordinate with the actual stamps. If I bring them back in, can you see how these actually coordinate? They are lovely. So this one here is like this stamp, this one is like this stamp. So you have 4 of each design. Got this lovely spotty background with a white, a clear space in the middle. Kind of got this mountainous, hilly, like landscape. And then you've got this fabulous circle that you could pop anything on the inside there. And then you have all of these blank sheets, which I've used a few. And I will say that this is slightly thinner, this vellum, than the actual vellum that we sell. So we sell vellum in A4 size. And it's lovely. I quite often love to stamp onto vellum. And what I love about vellum as well, if you've got a really bright colour, that you want to kind of step back a little bit by popping vellum over the top. If I show you, let's say, oh, can I grab it? Tahitian Tide, quite a bright colour for me. But if I was creating a card front and I layered over card or a really bright piece of pattern paper, it just makes it more subtle. So love the vellum, very useful product. I'll show you it again in the catalogue because you can buy it as a bundle, but also, just moving it out of the way so I don't lose it, you can purchase it individually. Good morning, Kate, how are you? Good morning, Zana. Thank you for stopping by, everybody. So if you go to page 139, you will see the vellum here. So you get 5 each of 4 printed designs and then 40 plain sheets, and that's £5.75. But if you buy the stamp set with the vellum, it's just £24.75. So absolutely love it. And as I've said, these 2 projects today, they're my first play with this stamp set. So I feel a lot of creativity coming along with this. So, and I'm really pleased with my colour choice as well. So it just looks so fresh and pretty. Right, base card as usual, 8 1/4 by 5 3/4. And I'm just going to fold that in half. Now, another new product, you've seen me use this. I'm going to be using the Stylish Shapes. They are a must. Seriously, if you are looking for things that will make your card designs easier, a set like this for layering on, for stamping on, it's just going to kind of open up new windows for you and make it easier for you to layer up your cards. So love the Stylish Shapes. The other thing, are you going to be able to see these? Are let's bring that cardstock back in. Elegant Eucalyptus embossing folders. So they come as a pair. Can't remember how much they are. I'm just going to have a quick look. They are £9.50. They're the 3D embossing folders. They are stunning. Love them. I had an order that got stuck at customs and these were in there. So when it finally arrived, I was very thankful. I'm going to use this one today because I've been waiting for these. You know how much I love our embossing folders, and I hope that you all agree. They just add that extra wow to your card. Right, what I'm going to do, if I can remember how I did this, let's bring in my platform. So when we're using 3D embossing folders, we need to just add the embossing folder inside and then the grey number 4 plate on the top. What I want to do is emboss both edges of this piece. So what I'm just doing is lining up, actually I'm going to pull it over a bit. Let's have it straight. So I'm lining up these pieces over to the left side of this basic white layer. I'm going to run that through. And then, I mean, look how beautiful it is. So you can see I've got a harsh line here, but I'm going to put it back in because I want to add, as you can see, this is designed for the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. So it's great for using in that, but it's not the width. As you can see, it's not quite the width of a card front. And I love this design, but I wanted it on both edges of my cardstock. So what I'm going to do is run it back through, which is kind of dodgy ground because we're going to be, I'll see if I can kind of line up so they follow on. We're going to have a bit of a mess where it joins here, and you'll see that in a moment. So remember, as a rule, the hinge goes in first. I'll just run that through. Put my cutting plates back in because I'm OCD and it makes me feel better. And then when I pull it out, you are going to see a bit of a mess going on in the middle. It's a bit messy. Can you see where we've overlapped? But I'm going to be covering over that centre panel. Okay. Good morning, Janet. I can see you are hopping on or you're scrolling. How are you doing? How is Derek? How is he bearing up? So I'm going to pop that piece to one side. Can you see we've got like that harsh line there, but I'm going to be covering that up. I just wanted to be able to see the outer pieces. Okay, so this idea would be no good if you're not covering up the center of this panel, okay, because it's a slight mess there in the middle where we've ran the embossing through twice. Right, I've got a piece of basic white. This measures 2.5, I think. Why is my memory good for some things and then absolutely rubbish for others? Measures 2.5 by 4 1/8. Okay, and 4 1/8 is a good measurement because it's half of a width of our A4 cardstock here in the UK. Okay, so that's 4 1/8. And then you would get another piece that way as well. I quite often cut purposely at that size so that I know I'm going to get a lot more pieces from an A4 sheet. Right, what I want to do now, showing you our colour combo, I'm going to stack up my inks. And I'm going to start with pale colour first. So I've got soft sea foam. Just checking you can see I'm in the right area. And I've mounted up 3 of the foliage stamps. So we've got the first one there, this one, which I love, these small leaves, and this one, which is kind of really fun. That sort of reminds me of, it's a bit like, is it Mother-in-Law's Tongue? But that's stripy, it hasn't got like this kind of print on it. Kind of reminds me of something you would see at the bottom of the ocean, maybe. So I've got those 3 lined up. Oh, I've just seen your comment. Is it very hot there? Well, we're not jealous at all, although the sun is trying to come out here. Derek's doing really well. Down to 1 crutch and walk him out. That is good to hear. I am so glad to hear he's doing okay. Right, let's start with, when I'm going to be filling in around this edge, and what I like to do is start with the largest stamp first and then go smaller. You'll see as I go along. I'm going to ink up in the soft sea foam and just add some, didn't put much ink on that one, but it'd be okay. Add a couple of these around the edge randomly. There is no kind of pattern. I'm going to start with that. And then I'm going to go with my darker Mossy Meadow. And my Mossy Meadow, I need to contact demonstrator support. It's not quite right. There is something not quite right about this one. And when every time I re-ink it, and if you wonder what I mean by re-ink, we sell ink refill bottles for every one of our colours, and I recommend when you buy an ink pad you get the ink refill. I think they're just £3.50, but it means that your stamp pad will last you for a lifetime. But we have had a few issues with some ink pads, and I think this is definitely one of them. So when I ink with it, it's a bit, the ink hasn't kind of absorbed into it very well. So, right, I'm going to add a bit of dark down here. I'm kind of filling in, it's like sticky, this ink pad, filling in the outer edge of this panel. I think that might be enough on the mossy meadow. And then I'm going to go back in with this one. I love this one. And I'm just going to ink up like the top section and fill in some of these gaps. And I don't mind if it kind of overlaps a little bit there. I've mounted that on a very big block as well. So can you see I've just created a background on this. Now this would look beautiful done on an A4 sheet, and then you could turn that into what they call a one sheet wonder, where you chop it up into specific size pieces and then create several cards using that. The other thing from this stamp set that I love, you've got these kind of lovely little bursts. You've got these two like flower bursts and then like this spotty dotty, which I love a stamp like that. I don't know about you, but they're just great for filling in white space. And you know I love white space, but sometimes there are occasions when we need to fill them in. And this one particularly would be great if you had a little thumbprint or fingerprint of ink where you didn't want it. But for this particular occasion, I'm going to use this little spotty one. I'm going to go in the mossy meadow, which could be dodgy because it's quite inky. And I just want to pop a couple of little splats. That might be enough. Just in some of the gaps. I mean, some of these may well be covered. I'm not sure yet until we put more layers on. Okay, check the fingers. I think we are okay with the mossy meadow. And then we just got this lovely, gorgeous, like two-tone background. Before I go any further, I am going to stamp myself a greeting. And I've cut a little strip, or I found this probably, it's a scrap from where I've cut inserts, and it measures about 5/8 wide, but any scrap depending on your greeting. And I do enjoy the greetings in here. I've got a thinking of you, which works for so many different occasions. We've got a thank you for everything, because it's always lovely to say thank you with a card. And then we've got this really nice greeting here, you mean the world to me, which I think is just lovely. I'm going to use that one. Don't think I've got it out. So these are, as you can see, cling stamps. Let's find a block, hopefully one that's pretty clean. Now, it's always difficult with a cling stamp set to know whether you've attached that sticker, because when you buy the stamp set, you put the image sticker or the wording sticker on yourself, and it's always difficult to know whether you've actually mounted it straight onto the rubber. So I always, before I'm stamping down onto anything, I always test to see how straight it is on there. With photopolymer it's easy because we can just see straight through, but obviously we've got this foam and the rubber that's kind of in our way. Good morning, Belle, how are you? You're liking this stamped piece? Another set you didn't know you needed? Yeah, it jumped out at me as soon as I saw the catalogue, and I've had it a little while, a few weeks, and only just got round to inking it up over the weekend. So let's bring back in Mossy Meadow and have a little practice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up the words you mean the as best I can on a line and see how straight it is. So to me it's slightly up to the right. So when I stamp it down on here, my stomach is gurgling today as well, I need to slightly turn it down to the right. And I have got plenty of scraps, so if I need to have another go, then that's fine. Hello Vicky, how are you doing? Thanks for stopping by, lovely to have you. So I'm going to turn it slightly to the right and hope that it's not too high, oh, stuck, or too low. That's okay, I think we might go with that. I might have one more go. I don't want to stand here all day being the perfectionist that I am to try and get it perfectly straight. Maybe twist a little bit more. That looks better. Little straighter. So always practice, before you're stamping onto the real thing, always practice with your clear mount stamps, not clear mount, your cling, to check how straight they are. Especially if you're stamping like directly down onto a layer or a card front, because nothing worse than spending a whole lot of precious time creating a layer like this and then going to add a greeting on and it's totally crooked. I mean, it may not bother you, but it would bother me. Right, what I want to do with that is I've cut a piece of Mossy Meadow. Anybody else a fan of Mossy Meadow? Now, for me, it's one of my favourite Christmas greens, although for she who never used to use a lot of green, I have an awful lot of green cardstock and inks that I love. And Shaded Spruce is another Christmassy green that I like, but I love Mossy Meadow with Cherry Cobbler and Merry Merlot. Just love those two together. Let's measure that layer. So original layer was 2.5 by 4 1/8, and this is slightly larger at 2 3/4 by 4 3/8. Okay, so we're just going to mount those two together. Not had the Tombow going yet this morning. It was hair wash day today. Oh, and the Tombow is not going to play ball. Am I going to be showing you how I sort my Tombow when it does this? I think I am. Let's show you what happens. So what happens inside here is the Tombow dries up. Now, either very carefully pop a pin or something in, and I don't know if you can see, but there's a dried up piece of glue inside there. You don't want to make this hole any bigger, so be careful when you're prodding. Now, that might just clear it. If not, this is what I do. Get a wet wipe handy. Unscrew, and it unscrews the opposite way on here. Take off the lid carefully because there will be Tombow in here. Okay. And then with a pokey tool or whatever you've got to hand, it's a bit messy, but we'll clean it. Push out that bit of sticky glue just there. Okay, and that will unblock it. Take your wet wipe, give your tool a clean, wipe your hands on your trousers. This is why we have pinnies, Stampin' Up aprons. I don't wear mine enough, and now it's going to have a volcano moment. And there we go, it's ready. It should flow pretty easily now. There we go. So if that happens to you, and you may pick up your Tombow and think, oh, I think it's empty. It doesn't feel very heavy. Believe you me, when you think it's empty, there is still a lot of Tombow in there. So unblock it. If you don't want to poke anything in there, run this section under warm water until the water flows through, and then dry it and pop it back on. But these have a very long life. And when you think it's empty, it's not. And I always store mine upside down in my tool caddy so that when I go to use it, the glue is ready to flow, unless like it was just now where it's just got a little dried up. So, and I love that you can just leave it down on the desk. It won't, you know, come out everywhere. That being said, when it's a hot day, it likes to flow well, volcano style, I call it. Right, so this layer, don't know if I gave you the measurements, it doesn't really matter, but it's 3 5/8 by 5 1/4. I'm going to pop that straight down onto our card base. So what are we all up to today? What are your plans? Are you working? Are you going to get to have a bit of creative time? I'm going to be working all day today. I worked yesterday morning, and then my lovely parents came over and Coles came over with the 3 grandchildren, and we had a full-on afternoon, made some lunch. It was really lovely. It's just lovely having them here. But a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old keep you busy, let's just say. Keep you very busy. So I'm going to take this layer. Now, I really wanted to add dimensionals to this layer, but I resisted and kept it flat to my card because my next layer is going to have a bit of height to it. So I've just popped that straight down. I'm giving it a good firm press because of the embossing underneath. And then hopefully you can see that all you can see is the edge, and kind of there's a bit of overlap down there, but it doesn't really, the eye doesn't draw straight to it and think, oh, she's ran the embossing folder through twice there. Next, I've got a piece of soft succulent. I'm going to pull in my cutting plates. Get all this sweet sorbet that's got stuck into here. And then my lovely die set, the stylish shapes. I'm going to pull out this lovely big banner. I'm going to tape it because as soon as I pick it up and turn around, it will move over. I'm going to put it in at an angle like that. If you put a long die through your machine this way, it does struggle sometimes to get over. It's going over all of this long edge together, but if you put it like at an angle, then it only has to go through a bit each time, so it just makes it a bit easier to turn the handle. I've got a lovely new top plate. Well, I say new, I pulled it out for my event I had here last weekend because my other one is cracked, and I have contacted Stampin' Up about it because I've had a couple crack on me lately. So I just wanted some advice. How lovely is this banner? Good tip, Kate. My brain is saying, what tip is that? I've got to have a drink. I've got a little frog appearing. Excuse me. I think it was all that talking yesterday and then shouting at Archie. So when Coles went at about, I don't know, 4:30, we let Archie run around the garden. So Archie is my daughter's puppy. He's 6 months, I want to say 6 months. And we've had moles in the garden at some point, not really major point, not, how can I say, very mild signs of a mole, and we usually just tamp back down any little mound that appears. But I think Archie has discovered where a couple of these mounds are, and he gets his nose in there and starts sniffing, and then he acts like a crazy toddler and goes absolutely mad, running around the garden, and we couldn't get him in. So we were like yelling at him, and I think I've got a bit of a sore throat from that. So, oh, how I angled the die. Yeah, sorry, Kate. I literally just did that as well. My brain isn't good. Definitely a lot of fog going on inside my head. So, yeah, we were chasing him around the garden. And the girls were excited. They didn't want to go home. They were just like running around the garden. Bless them. Right, so I've just mounted that really simply onto that banner. And then we'll add some dimension to this layer. And pop that one down on. And then we've got a little bit more stamping to do. Kind of doing this back to front today. Normally I'll get all of my pieces and then stick, but... And then we're going to pop that. I did debate whether putting this down at the bottom. I think it needs to go in the middle, maybe lower. I'll tell you what, I'm going to leave it off and we'll have a little debate in a minute. Let's do a bit of stamping. So I've pulled in from this amazing set a couple of the flowers, and I've got some Starry Sky on my blog. So I was stamping with Starry Sky yesterday, and in fact that one doesn't even look very clean. Let's just pop that in my chamois. I did remember to clean my chamois this morning though. So these are 2 stamps from the set. I'm going to use the lovely Fresh Freesia and ink them up. So what did we all get up to at the weekend? Mine was quite busy. I can't remember half of what happened actually. What did I do on Saturday? Oh, I worked in the morning, which is quite usual for me to work a Saturday morning. So I'm just inking up. Do a couple of these flowers. Yeah, I worked on Saturday morning. Oh, that looks a bit blotchy. And then I gave Coles and a friend a lift into town, into Cheltenham. I'm doing a couple of those. I don't need all 3. Let's just make sure that one is dry that I've just cleaned. And can't remember what else I did Saturday. Just doing a couple of these while I can. What did I do Saturday night? Excuse me, not a lot. Actually, I didn't feel great when I got back. I didn't feel that great that evening. Just snipping these up ready. And then Sunday, Sophie had a market. Oh, I did some gardening, that was right. Saturday afternoon, I did some gardening, maybe just overdid it a bit. I did loads of weeding. We did the whole of my kitchen garden, so my veggie patch, because with all the rain and then the sun, it was looking really untidy. And I think because this is the first year that I've used my own fertiliser really. So the contents of my compost bin, I dug out a few weeks ago and put onto my beds. And there was a lot of it looked kind of quite manure-y, and I think the birds have been loving it, and so they keep going in my beds and having a bath in the mud, and then the mud's all out on the path, and I like it to be tidy. So had a really good weeding session and then swept the whole of it, and it looked really neat and tidy. So that was kind of Saturday afternoon, but I found that really tiring. So I'm just taking the So Saffron, and then I'm going to show you in the set. In the Sending Smiles, you've got this little flower centre here. So I'm just filling in the middles of these flowers. So Sunday morning, Sophie had a market over at Cheltenham in the pump rooms. If anyone is local, you will know how beautiful that building and surrounding. We go over there with the children. They've got a beautiful playground, lovely park. There's a huge lake you can walk around. The park is beautiful. There's also a big pond where you can feed the ducks. But it's the kind of place, there's lots of big trees as well. You could take a picnic and just sit and have so much space around you and kind of not bump into anybody, but you could sit and have a private picnic and not really be bothered because it's huge. So we did that on Sunday morning. I was awake early. Silly early. I'm finding it a bit annoying really. So I'm either waking at 2 or I'm waking, if I wake at 2 I normally wake at 4 and then I'm awake at 5, or sometimes I wake at 3, I skip the 4 and then I'm awake at 5. It's a bit annoying, I'm not gonna lie. It's making me feel very tired the following evening or that evening. So this morning I was awake, I didn't sleep very well last night and I was awake early. So by about 8:30 tonight, I'm going to be well ready for bed, which is quite sad. And it does feel like, you're wasting your life a bit, going to bed a bit earlier. But you know, trying to stay up at 10 until 10 is a bit of a challenge at the moment. Okay, so I'm just taking the dies and lining up. Look how lovely these line in. They're so easy to locate as well. And on this one, you can see you've got 3 petals that are really close together and then 3 that are really spread. So when you look at the die, you've got 3 that are close together and 3 that are spread. So you can just line them straight in to cut them out. Yeah, so I was awake early. We were leaving for the market at about, I thought Sophie said 8, but when we got up, she said it was 8:30. And I didn't stay all day. I just stayed until lunchtime, well, midday. And then I took myself into Cheltenham Town to have a little wander around John Lewis because I needed a new mascara. Had a little browsy and grabbed a coffee and came home. And then I headed back down to the garden. Need to do another one of those. And spent the rest of the afternoon tidying up down in the garden because around the outskirts of my vegetable garden, it's all fenced off, which is great because it means, you know, the rabbits and things can't get in, and the ducks and the moorhens and everything else that comes into the garden, the pheasant. But on the outskirts, there's like lots of brambles, and I hate digging up brambles. But I had to give it a real good tidy up. So I got stung, I got scratched, I got prickled by thorns. But I'd filled up the green waste bin, ready for it to go out on Monday morning. So I felt like I'd been very productive, and it's looking very neat and tidy down there. So I'll try and get some photos later and put them on the gram so you can see. Right, let's put these dies back. Because I know some of you hear me talk about things, but unless you've been here, you can't kind of envisage what it's like. But it's a lot of work, gardening. It really is a lot of work, but it's worth it. I definitely haven't got as many plants in yet this year, so I'm trying to think of what else I can put in at this time of the year. I'm just denting in the centres these flowers with my take your pick tool. Now this is where I need to decide, do I want this lower or do I want it higher? I think I'm going to stick with it. Maybe a little bit lower than on my original. So that was like my weekend gone. Jason, he was racing at Brands Hatch, so he didn't get back until about 8 o'clock on Sunday evening. By the time he got back, I was ready for bed. He unloaded and came in. I was like, right, is it bedtime? Bless him. I feel like I've not seen a lot of him lately. I'm missing him a bit. He's been so busy, like prepping racing cars to go away, because he did chatting with you last week about his motorcycle drive all the way over to Monaco. And then when he got back from Monaco, he was flat out getting his racing car ready and loaded to go off at the weekend. So, yeah, not seen a lot of him. There we go. First card done. Kate, you talking about sleep? You know the feeling. Wanting to go to bed early. I don't like it. If I was busy out doing something, I'd probably be fine. But you know, when you're just at home, you've cooked dinner, you've cleared away, because I like everything to be cleared away. Then you've got to make the sandwiches, and then you need to sit down. I always need to sit down and kind of like zone out of everything before going to bed. But the lighter nights, I mean, we've had a few kind of dreary evenings of drizzle, but when it's a bit, you know, maybe next month we'll be out in the garden a lot more and doing stuff, so maybe that will kind of help to keep me awake a bit longer. So yeah, sleep deprivation is not good. Here's my original. I've done my banner. This is my original, slightly higher. I think it works both ways. So Love the idea of creating a background using these stamps. So quite fresh, kind of quite tropical-esque. I think it kind of looks a bit kind of like jungly, tropical, but very simple. Nothing too challenging there. Okay, next card. How are we doing on time? 10:20. Of course, the same colour combination. I don't go pulling out different things. When I'm focusing on something, I focus on it. And I commented on that in an Instagram post the other day that usually gets shared to my Facebook page, that when I buy something, when I buy a stamp set, I like to get as much use out of it as I can and find different ways of using it. So you will see me repeatedly using stamp sets because mostly they're my favourites, but because it's good for you to see so many things that you can do with them as well. So these are all my bits and pieces. Some are scraps for stamping on, some are layers. So I'm going to start with these two pieces. So my general base is 5 3/4 by 8 1/4, folded in half. Thank you, Belle, you like the cards. Thank you. Fresh, very fresh, aren't they? And then these two layers here measure, I think, 3 7/8. Yep, so slightly narrower than my card. And the Mossy Meadow is 2 3/4, and my basic white is 1 1/2. Kate, don't go to bed early either, so you can't understand why you didn't sleep. Jason says to me that maybe I should try going to bed a bit later, which might help me sleep better. But I don't know about you. If I let myself kind of get overtired, then I can't get to sleep. Yeah, I had a busy day really, and I was tired by 8:30. You've got your grandchildren for 3 nights next week. Oh, bless you. So you need to try and sleep well this week, and so that you're full of energy for next week, Kate. That's the plan. Right, what I want to do is take this little layer. So it's 3 7/8 by 1 1/2. This could be any height at all, to be honest. I'm going to pull back in my embossing folder. Pull back in my plates. And I'm going to do something that I don't recommend you do often. Oh no, I'm not on this one. No, it's fine. Ignore that comment. I was thinking sometimes there's a need to run your embossing folder through this way, which it does fit, but I don't recommend it because you're pushing, when you're running it through the rollers of your machine, you're kind of forcing these two layers apart, which is why we always say put the hinge through first, but I don't need to. I don't know what I was thinking. I was obviously doing something else. All I want to do is add in, where do I want? Let's have that. So I've got one at either end. That be enough? Or shall I go that way? Let's go that way. I'm going to move right up there. So I've got the top bit in, but I've also got some little bits in down here. Right, I'm going to pinch that together and just run that through. Gosh, 3 nights. The trouble is, we're not used to it. You know, we're not used to running around behind little ones all the time. And when I go to see them, I'm always exhausted when I come back. It is tiring. Okay. Just beautiful. Maybe I will try. There are some evenings where I feel I could stay up a bit later. But I explain it as my eyes go. You know, my eyes just get really, I can't focus. Right, what I want to do is I want to pop both of these on here together. So now I've embossed that, I need to make sure that it's exactly the same width, because I don't want any overhanging. Actually, it looks quite nice layered like that. What I'm going to do is pop the white layer. Just appreciate the reverse as well. How lovely that is. I'm going to pop the white layer down first. And I'm not putting Tombow right at the top edge. I'm going to just put it a bit lower because I want to wedge in that piece of Mossy Meadow after. I want to slide it just down underneath. So I've just popped that one at the bottom and put a smudge there of glue, which is obviously on my fingers, and then we're going to pop this layer in over the top, and then just going to wedge it just so it sits behind, she says. That's it. Oh, it just came out. So I want it to be straight. That's it. I just want that white layer just to overlap there at the bottom. So we've just got those two pieces mounted together. Just push that over a bit. And this is where you need to make sure that they're both the right width, because if you've got an overhang, it will look a bit funny. Right, next layers, we've got a piece of fresh freesia, which is 3 1/8 by 4 1/8. There's that 4 1/8 again. And then a basic white layer that's going to mount on top at 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. And remember, 2 3/4 is a magic number as well. I'm going to bring back in this piece, because 2 3/4 fits 3 ways exactly across a sheet of cardstock. I think that was a bit high then. So you can get 3 pieces that go across there. So 2 3/4 and 4 1/8 are numbers that I use quite often with my card making. And then these two will mount with quite a big gap around the outside, because I wanted you to see plenty of the fresh freesia. Right, and I've got to do a little bit of stamp cleaning in my chamois. Might get a bit of table wobble. They are quite sturdy, these tables over here. And this time I'm going to use, oh, I thought my finger went in at them. Going to use this Mossy Meadow. Now I don't need my mat because these are cling. And I'm going to pop this. I feel really nervous because I re-inked this. It's very juicy and it's just not performing how it should. And as I said, if you've got an ink pad that looks a bit dodgy like this one, contact whoever you purchased it from, or demonstrator support, not demonstrator support, you can contact Stampin' Up direct about any order you've received. Okay, so looks a bit two-tone, but I quite like that. I don't know if this is supposed to. No, it is solid. And there's a bit missed up there, but I'm not worried about that. I think that all adds to the way it looks. And then next, what I want to pop on here, do you remember we were talking, let's bring this stamp set back in, about these lovely like flower bursts? They're very delicate. I've mounted up, how pretty is that, a small one. We'll just use the soft sea foam. Actually, I've mounted up both. Let's clean the other. I've actually used both. Make sure that's dry. Just giving that a clean. And we'll pop. Remember two hands if you can when you're stamping. That was a bit heavy-handed. Oh, not that one. Just cleaned the wrong one. I want the smaller one out of here. No, I don't. It is that one. Having a mad moment. I'm looking at it's because the card that I'm creating is a little further away. How cute are these little dots? There's a hair on there. And then we'll have just one in that gap. So just filling in a bit of white space, and we can pop those two together. Now I've got these that I stamped earlier. I just need to do one more, clean that one off, and this time I'm going to do one in, don't need that one, need that one, do one in soft sea foam. So I need my mat for this one because it's photopolymer. And while I've inked it, I'm going to do a couple because I am going to be carrying, oh, what's that? Rescued. Look out for bits on your stamps. Particles and dust and bits of cardstock easily get dropped onto your ink surface, so always be wary of that. Yeah, I'm going to be creating more with this colour combo. I'm thinking I'll probably do a class on it because I love it so much. Thought I'd do a class that can either be, don't know about next month, I've got a few things on already next month, but it could be a class in the post or a class in my Facebook group, like a live class, online class. I just need to cut those out. To come back and cut the other one. There's nothing not to love about both of these stamp sets. The one thing I will say, obviously from what you can see, this is just kind of foliage. I guess this could be done in a pretty flower colour because it's kind of leafy, but you could do that in a colour. That would be quite nice actually. But there are no actual flowers, which is why I pulled in the Sending Smiles bundle, because I thought these flowers would look lovely with it. So I'm just lining these in, taping them down, quickly run those through my machine. And, oh, I think that bit of washi tape is at the end of its life. I need to do another one of those. So I've got some kits to prepare, I've got some kits to go out in the post. Let's put that die back. So my afternoon will be cutting, a bit of planning. I love planning, love creating for classes and events. Talking of events, I've still got booking open, not for much longer, just until the end of the month, for my Creative Escape at Bowden Hall. That is on the 16th of July. I've got a little flyer to show you after as a visual. So I've got plenty to keep me busy. I've got some team things I need to organise as well. Ready to see them on Thursday, which will be fun. Let's layer these up. So plenty to be going on with. Still got lots to do out in the garden as well. There's lots of sweeping to do of patios and all the blossoms. Sadly, the pink blossom has now finished. It's so, so pretty, but of course it's all over the back patio. So it's like a haze of pink, which is beautiful, but not very practical. So what I'm going to do now is just pop this layer straight down on no dimensionals, just Tombow, straight down onto my card base. Want to show a bit of that bottom panel. Don't want to hide that too much. Is that straight? I think so. Let's put another mark on there. I must have glue on my fingers. So I've just mounted that up. And then cut myself a strip of soft sea foam and it measures 3/4 of an inch. This was just a scrap in my box. It doesn't matter on the length necessarily, but it needs to be long enough. And pulling in my stylish shapes, I thought I could create myself a banner. This was too big for what I wanted. This wasn't long enough for what I wanted, although you can extend it. So I thought, let's show you on my cutter, I would create my own. What I'm going to do, I need another bit of tape. Oops, I hate it when that happens. You get that when you buy non-branded sellotape and it doesn't tear properly. So I'm just going to line this in so that I've got an even border, top and bottom. Like that, and I'm just going to run that through. Can't see comments. We end up with these little pieces which can be quite handy, like this little banner. You could make some bunting with that. Hoping it's straight. Oh, that's tearing. That's because I used a piece that was quite fresh. Let's pull that carefully from the other end. One thing you do have to be careful with washi. And I have got a bit of an imprint there from my top plate. Not going to worry too much about that. But from that, we've just created that. So we don't have the stitching on the top, didn't necessarily need it. But we've still got the stitching at the ends, which is another look, another way of using that die. And then we just want to do a greeting. Let's have a look. Lots of great greetings on here, and of course you've got the word sending, smiles across the miles, but you can use these individually as well. I'm going to use the one I used on my original card, which is a card to say hello, and I'm going to ink it in Mossy Meadow. Let's put this under because it will just help. Stamp that down. I do like this kind of simple font. And then in the sending dies, we've got two lovely banners, like labels or frames. And we'll just use that one to cut this out. That was rather a lot of waste of cardstock, wasn't it? Rather a lot. Didn't need a piece that was so large, but it's too late now. I'm gonna pop that on there. Hopefully that's straight enough. Run that through. Could use that end piece for a flower. Gently pull the washi off, and then we've got this lovely framed banner, and it does kind of leave like a bit of a beveled edge as well, which I quite like. And then I'm just going to mount that straight onto here. Just Tombow, no dimensionals. And just pop it in the middle if we can. Oh, that's not a good angle for my back. Over a bit, up a bit, down a bit. Shame about that tear down there, but we could always hide that with something. I think that's straight. And then I'm going to pop dimensionals behind this one. Oop. Got the lid, but not the foam. You're all very quiet today. Are you busy? And then we're just going to pop that one down at the bottom, in the middle, so it's centrally hanging over. Why does that not look straight to me? And then we're just going to add in our flowers. So I already created another card, but I think I'm going to save that one for maybe do a stamper stack of these, because it's such a lovely, fresh set of colours. Right, I'm just going to add these flowers in. I think these would just make really good all-round cards for any occasion. Move you up a bit. And then another one. So I'm not adding any bling to any of these cards, any rhinestones or pearls today. I'm just keeping them in their simple form. It's my original, pretty much the same. And there we go. Bring in the other two. I think the other one is my favourite. I just love that kind of background on there. I'm just going to do up these ink pads before anything gets dropped in them, especially that mossy meadow. Check that. Whoa, that was close. Did you see that? I nearly dropped that right on them. And that's all it takes, is one little slip, and then you'd be covering over all those little happy accidents with butterflies and extra flowers. So yeah, I'm really pleased with this fresh kind of colour combination. And as I said, I've used the Botanical layers and the Sending Smiles. I've given you sneak peeks of what is coming. There are classes on my events website. I just need to add on the masculine version for the 6-card class. So there's an option. And I thought I would throw the masculine version in because we have Father's Day here in the UK next month. So there is the option to do that. Let's move these to one side. I have got my Creative Escape. This is my flyer for general social media, not in my Facebook page, because it is actually called a Creative Escape. It's at Bowden Hall Hotel on the 16th of July, full day of crafting. It's £90, but I'm including the Cottage Rose stamp set, but you do have the option to add on the die set to go with that if you want to. As I said, full day crafting, you get a goodie bag with products in, plus all of your kits. We will have lovely buffet lunch, but booking closes at the end of the month for that. So I think that's all I need to talk to you about. One final thing that's going on, and don't dismiss this, it's such a great offer, and that's our starter kit promotion, where you can receive lots of free in colour goodies when you purchase the kit. So I think that is it for now. Hope you have all enjoyed my creations today. I will get this uploaded to YouTube later on, and it will be out there tidying away as I chat. I think that's all. I'm sure there was something else I needed to talk to you about, but I think I showed you it all at the beginning. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the projects. Hope you love the colour combo. Let's bring it back in and show you. There's only a small amount of So Saffron, but that being said, it blends quite well. Could maybe do some of the flowers in So Saffron. So love this colour combo, and I will be playing with it later today and creating more cards to go with these to share with you. So I'm going to bid you farewell. Nearly coffee time. and I'll see you all very soon. So thanks for stopping by and take care, and bye for now.